This is a video that I really didn't want to make. We're still in Australia visiting our daughter Gemma. We're actually in the last few days of our holiday here, and then it's back to Scotland. Like I say, I didn't want to be making another video. We've made 7 videos here in Australia. I think we've published 4 of them, so there's 3 still to come. I thought my videoing was finished for our stay here, but there's something that I saw this morning that actually rattled my cage a little bit. It made me quite upset, and then it made me feel angry, and sometimes it's just better to talk about these things and get them off your chest. So that's really what this little video is going to be about. And the thing that upset me was the latest video from the Travel Beans. This is the thumbnail and title for the video. It says, "Woken by angry locals, why Scotland hates camper vans." Now, when I first saw this, my first reaction was, I felt slightly ashamed to be Scottish. I thought to myself, the Travel Beans, they're lovely people. We watch them all the time. I know they've had quite a bad time over the years with, that video, their camper van was on fire and everything like that. It's not been easy for them. And they always come across as being a really, really nice couple. Of course, they've got that little baby now. And yeah, they just look like really lovely people. And here I am, I'm getting presented with this image, basically saying that people in my beloved Scotland are actually throwing them out of town or pushing them off the campsite or the wild camping spot wherever they are. You see the image, they're pointing it, so get the out of here, Travel Beans, go! And I'm thinking to myself, how can now people of Scotland be doing that to those lovely, lovely people? And they're saying Scotland hates camper vans. I'm thinking, what's happened to this to come about? Those poor Travel Beans, and they're experiencing this in my home country of Scotland. I felt really quite upset about it. So then I started to watch the video, and at the start of the video they explain that Scotland is the only country, is it in the world or Europe? I'm not sure what they say, but it's the only country in which they've never been made to feel welcome. And that's their opening stance in the video. They then go on to explain that they've had some online and physical abuse in the time that they've been here. Now, this is where we see that thumbnail picture again. If you watch closely, now I apologise, this is just me pointing my phone at the screen, but you'll see a flashing image of that shot once again. You'll see 2 people there standing there going, "Get out of here, Beans, go!" That's what you see. Now let me tell you something, that did not happen. That is completely staged for the purpose of that video. It quite simply, it didn't happen. It's a falsification.
After being confronted in person and online by these angry locals, we nervously revisit and investigate why we are not welcome here.
Now you'll notice in that little clip that I showed you there that you only see that thumbnail image for a split second. I think it could be a half a second or something. The image is just there, bang, it's thrown at you on the screen. Now, that's all that you need, that's all it takes. That image goes into your head. It's like when you blink, you can look at something, you just get a tiny little flash of that, and that's in there. Now, why did the Beans do it that way, I ask you? They didn't want you to take the time and look at that and realise, wait a minute, that's staged. No, you get that flash of that image. They don't give you time to realise that and take it in. You just see that image. And then it's similar when they're talking about the online abuse that they've had, which they say is Scotland. How they know these comments came from people in Scotland, I don't know. But what comments were there? We don't get a chance to see, do we? Because it flashes onto the screen on and off as quickly as that. They don't want us to see it. They don't want us to take it in. It's a pretty weak case that they make for saying that they've never been made welcome in Scotland. They say that in the morning a car had peeped its horn at them to wake them up. Well, that's not what the image portrays. And in any event, I think what you're talking about is something that happened years ago, not something that happened at all in this video. They also talk about how a 60-year-old woman in Scotland had called Emma the C word. They seem to think that this is very funny. I don't. I mean, chances are that woman had some kind of mental health issues. I mean, she must have done. If she's come up and said that to somebody, then surely she's had some mental health issues. That's all that I can think of. But in any event, it's still quite a very weak case to be making the claim that Scotland hates camper vans and you've never felt welcome here. You're hanging everything on what is not a strong case at all. I've challenged the Beans about this on a comment that I made on their video. Here's my comment, and here's the response that I got back from them. My comment was, guys, come on, the staged thumbnail is ridiculous, and Scotland doesn't hate camper vans. The response that I got was in 3 parts, 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph said, I understand that people have a different tolerance to clickbait. In our eyes, we're making a movie poster stroke selling a concept that will grab viewers' attention. Well, when I see a movie poster, when I go to the movies, I expect that poster to be representative of what's in the movie, or I'm going to be pretty disappointed. And the other thing about selling a concept, well, this isn't selling a concept, this is tarnishing the reputation of the people of Scotland. The second paragraph of the Beans' response goes on to say, this video is our best performing video of all time at this stage. A different thumbnail would not have got as many eyes on the content, and ultimately this is our livelihood to do so. The audience then votes through their click and interaction with the content. So it's their best performing video at this stage of all time, and I can understand why. It's the gutter press approach. It's the falsified thumbnail. The third paragraph then goes on to say, we have to walk a fine line with it, but it's our job to figure out what works. Sometimes we win and sometimes we lose, but we're never intentionally trying to clickbait in a traditional sense where the video doesn't relate to the content. Fair enough though if it's not for you. Excuse me, you never intentionally clickbait. Is that why you have staged a photograph? Who is that in the photograph? Is that a couple of subscribers perhaps that stopped by to say hello and you just grabbed them and said, look, would you mind coming into this shot while we stage a fake thumbnail for our next video? So look, despite what you think and how this may be coming across, I'm not actually out to get the Travel Beans. I think that they're a very good channel. They make really good content. I think they have just went off the rails on this occasion in their attempt to maximize their income. They've overstepped the mark, but I do want to look at this objectively and consider the situation from both sides. Now, a lot of YouTubers do thumbnails that aren't really representative of the content. And quite often, the ones that you will normally see are where you've got a YouTuber maybe doing this. And okay, they just look kind of silly, don't they? But I mean, they're just trying to grab your attention. They're not really doing anyone any harm other than themselves, maybe because they look a little bit silly. They're not saying anything negative about a person or a group of people or indeed a whole nation. They're just having a little bit of fun. I mean, take my last thumbnail, for example, for the video that we just posted. Now, it's called A Walk of Dread at Noosa Head. Now, did I choose the words Walk of Dread because it rhymes with Noosa Head? You know, am I trying to over-dramatise that subject there? Well, the ultimate destination was a place called Hell's Gate. That's where we're going, and that's what you can see in the background. Those cliffs are called Hell's Gate. So, you know, there's a little bit clickbaity. I mean, when I was doing that, I thought, oh, this is a little bit clickbaity, but then I thought, oh, it's all right. I think I can get away with that. Now, if I'd had a different background on that thumbnail, for example, let's say it was, we walked into the fires of hell. And in the background, there's this big, huge bomb and everything going up. Now, if you saw that video, that thumbnail, and you subsequently watched that, you might be a little bit peeved because you might be thinking, wait a minute, that's not what that video was about. That wasn't in that video. It's kind of how I feel about this video from the Travel Beans. Now, I've looked through their back catalogue, a lot of their thumbnails. Their thumbnails are very, very good. I couldn't see any clickbait at all. So why have they went suddenly completely over the top on this video, on this thumbnail? Why have they fabricated this story? You know, we YouTubers are often called influencers, and that's why some sponsors actually come to YouTubers and ask them to sponsor products, because people watch us and they believe what we're saying. If we say that a power bank's good, then that might be the one that they're going to go off to and buy, right? If we're using a certain type of pot or pan in our van, people often come and say, what's that pot and pan that you're using? I would quite like to buy one of these. We are seen as social influencers, and with that there comes an element of responsibility, right? If you're an influencer, you should have an element of responsibility, and that doesn't mean kicking about a word like hate in relation to the Scotland people's sentiments over camper vanners. It feels to me that it's just spreading that hate feeling amongst the home nations of the UK and indeed the world. People will be looking at that video thumbnail and that title and they will be going, my God, Scotland hates camper vans. These people are being evicted off of a site by angry Scottish locals. That didn't happen. It's a lie. It's a fabrication. Well, look, that's it from me. I just felt compelled to say something. As a Scotsman, I couldn't sit back and just watch this going out and have all you lovely people watch this and thinking that we Scots are like that. We're not. Now, actually, the Beans ended the video on a high. They actually say at the end, what a wonderful place Scotland is. They love it here. You should come. You should definitely come to Scotland. And there's definitely a warm and cozy feeling about the whole thing towards the end of the video. Why could the whole thing not have been like that, rather than concocting that story at the start? Anyway, I have wasted enough time on this, and I'm still on holiday. I'm going to catch up with the others, and we're just going to leave you with these final thoughts, alright? Bye for now.